What came up for me is a choice: align or resist.
Hmm.
That's worth thinking about. Align or resist. In the alignment is there can be tension, and knowing that tension is not the same as resistance in this manner. It depends on your definiteness of purpose. Mm. Mm.
Hmm. As if there's a draw, a compel in the alignment to what? To unfolding, of like life. And that is a force, but not like just a natural force. And we can resist that compelling, that pulling, that attracting force. We can with resistance. And that has so many ways that it can show up.
Feels like we're talking about a double-edged sword here,
Mm,
because I can be pulled to eat sugar that's conforming to a thoughtless habit that I don't put up any resistance. I just eat it. Or I resist consciously, choose. And that's why I feel like the definiteness of purpose has a place to be honored. And so I don't conform, and I choose, as Craig said, choose. And I set the sails as the direction that I want to take. Choice. Because I generally think of alignment as a really great thing, like being aligned with the universe, but how much carnality can subterfuge our real purpose because we're aligning and conforming to the world.
yes. Or our expectations, our control, our normal habits are always been their ways of doing it.
Mhm.
seem a lot like allow or accept. Resistance has one choice, your way of looking at it. And alignment is more feeling into it, the possible possibilities. Like one is expansive, the other is way more contracting.
One, I'm gleaning off of what you just said, Heinz. One is like being a zombie, and the other one is being conscious choice.
How it goes for me was as best trying to figure it out rather than just asking and waiting for an answer. So I put all my trust and energy of working, like how would I run? How would I achieve it? How would I get there? How would I do it? All the different steps, like walking through it, all the elements. Or I could just ask and wait for an answer, which now, who knows, right? But trust the answer, to follow it, like to compel, right? So it laid in a next step. Oh, here, okay, that's out of my way. So that might be what's needed, right? So I try to compare what is it that I would always normally do and try to choose not that now. I don't know. But I do know how to change old patterns.
Sort of like apple and oranges. They don't really fit together because one is heart based and the other one is totally mind based.
Yeah. And it reveals which one I put my trust in by, or which one I believe in the because of what it's always doing, and there's nothing new. So mine this morning was a car. To get a car, we got to replace the car that's been totaled. And I was running through the steps, the scenarios, the inventory we've got available. It was like all That was what was filling the silence.
Hmm.
And then I asked, well, where should I look? When should I look? By when? How? And a little town on our way up to this weekend's competition popped into my head. Oh, but it's out of the way. Oh, but it's this. Oh, but it's that.
Hmm.
If you look at it from a different point of view, you can see, wow, then I get a road trip. I get to go someplace, get to explore.
It's so subtle. So subtle.
Mm.
And nothing, no guarantee that it is the quote right move. And it might not be that place, but it might be the one after it. The one we just happen to see because we're going on a different way. I don't know.
But isn't that kind of fun?
No. I mean, I can see how, yes, like to put it there and be fun with that, but man, it could be, Craig. Yes, it could be fun. But when we have that deadline, that pressure, that is driving it, not the fun.
Hmm.
It is whatever you make it to be.
Hmm.
But a deadline don't help.
No.
I just love technology when we can apply it for our benefit. So let's call the location, see if they have a website, if they have pictures, inventory online, talk to a salesperson. So much of the preliminary unknowingness can be answered with phone calls and internet,
Hmm. Hmm.
or you can
It
make it a
could
fun
be,
family trip.
or your body could tell you.
Huh, muscle testing. What a novel idea.
Well, that is what we're doing when we ask the question and listen for the answer. No, it is a place I haven't checked out yet on doing those things. Syndrome. So yes, it's like, yeah, as soon as I'm done, it's like, that's what I'm gonna go check. It is feeling in the silence. Feeling the silence because it's not empty. And we've conditioned ourselves to always fill it with something.
Mm.
Mm.
And we're always filling it with how it works. What we're afraid of, what we worry about. For the most part, it's like the scarcity, the fear consumes the silence, the space, the resistance that you spoke about in regards to the tensions. Rather than aligning, is allowing to align to what do I want rather than what I don't want.
So I'm thinking about something that happened for me last night. And I've just seen this beautiful quote that she left in the chat box. I'm wondering if he could maybe read it to us.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. It's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And it goes like, what lies behind us and what lies before us are small matters compared to what lies within us.
It's so beautiful. It's one of my favorite quotes is, thank you for putting us in, Chi.
Yeah. What I've been struggling with the polarities much lately. But
As we all do. So this is what was going on for me in my thoughts. So Craig's different contrast between aligning and resistance. And then Sandrell, you used the word observation. And so what happened for me last night was I had to say goodbye to my daughter. She's going back up to her job, which is very far up north. It's in what they call a fly-in community. So I think even in the summer you can't get there. There's no road infrastructure to where they are. You have to fly in. There's a chance I could be wrong about that, but for 10 months of a year, that's what it is. So I go to her apartment, and as I drive there, I'm aware that it's the last time that I'll drive that route. And I love driving. There's things that I always notice along the way where I'm going somewhere. And it forms like a footprint, pathway of footprints for me. And I'm there for a little while, and I help pack a few things, and then her best friend comes, and so there are all sorts of things that happen in that, in that time. And we say goodbye to each other, and I seem to be fine. And she's very occupied with what she's doing. So her little best friend is from middle school, and I hadn't seen her for all these years. So we give each other a big hug. And she says to me, "You're so brave. You're not crying." When I say goodbye to my mom, she's crying. So I said to her, "Tara, I guess I've had to say quite a few goodbyes. So maybe my body's a little bit more used to it." So I get home and I do my meditation. And when I do meditation routine, I do chanting. And my voice is always different. So I start my chanting last night, and there's no voice. There's a vibration that comes out, but there's hardly any voice. And my immediate thing is, what the hell's going on? This is not right. And then I have a little voice that says, "Don't worry about it. Just see what it does." And then I was thinking, why have I got no voice? And then I make the link. And then another voice comes into my head and it says, just let it be. And I have this huge wave of peace just flood through my body. And eventually, by the time I'm finished chanting, I have this frog-like voice that I have this morning. So there's some sound that's coming out. So it's again that dance that we do between all the different layers. And I think what I'm becoming more and more aware of is to focus on the dance or the momentum of the dance and the rhythm of it. And my gratitude is that I can trust a lot more now than what I could before. And that allows the momentum and the rhythm to show up for me. And even though there are for me, very big things that need to be addressed, I'm learning little bit by little bit to work it in my imagination, even though I don't know the steps of how it could be even. And just to let it be. To let that magnitude that we have inside of ourselves to rest in it and allow the creativity to show up, because it does.
I just heard you say, wait for creativity to show up, because it does.
If we can sit in the tension long enough.
Mm. Mhm.
It appears the creativities come at the very last moment.
Mhm. And the secret source is allowing.
Mm.
I mean, life is creativity. That's the essence, the essence of life. It's so creative.
Or it's controlled.
Well, we try and control it.
I know. That's what we try, We think we can.
Yeah, I know.
And
When we control it, we rob it of its creativity.
yes.
Yes. Well, we rob our availability to its creativity. Life itself doesn't change at all. The essence of life doesn't change. It's our observation, our capacity to observe and allow and play and fight, all of it.
And life does change.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's guaranteed in life is the unexpected.
Mm.
Nothing else is guaranteed. That's not me saying that. Sorry, that's what I've learned from all my sages that I love so much.
My ego had found a new way of interfering with me. Since I don't think about past and future very much, very often, it started to use my emotions to get at me. Or just bring out some sort of emotion. So I start to question, where did that emotion come from? It's a sneaky son of a bitch, that one.
Mm.
Because I do self-talk, but I talk, what would I like to do now? When I listen, I repeat what other people are saying within myself, so I get a much more clearer view. But don't think about yesterday and don't think much about tomorrow. But emotions are based on yesterday mostly. So it found a new way in.
Mm.
Heinz, as you said that about emotions being based on the past, what came to me was until it is like that, until we learn to use our imagination, because then that can be based on the future. Or even be very present to what we are in that moment. Like the amount of thoughts that flashed through my mind last night when my voice wouldn't cooperate with my breath and the vocal cords couldn't produce anything. I really don't know that I've ever experienced that before. I don't remember experiencing that before. And, you know, all the thoughts about how I had been a mother, or did I value my experience enough? Had I shown enough love to my daughter? You know, like the most far out things that you can think of, you know, in a negative way.
Hmm. And then
And then,
again, we
sorry.
can look for those, and it's like that is so real that we start looking for the validation for that.
Yeah, yeah. And what came to me with the experience as it was all happening was that the more I let the pain of the separation be, the quicker it resolved. And that there was beauty in that pain.
The sensation that you were feeling, I'm wondering, was it really pain or is it just easier for us to say that? I'm not questioning you, I'm going within. Is it easier to say that this sensation that I'm feeling, because it's different, because I'm feeling it, is it pain or is it a feeling of gratitude and appreciation and love and space and freedom between souls, that no matter where you are or no matter where you go, you're going to experience it in a whole new expansion of expression? Can I love you from afar? Do I love you from afar? Does the distance even make a difference? It makes the heart just, ooh, and that growth is is that pain or is that expansion? And so why do we
Mm.
name it pain?
It was such a beautiful description, Cinderella. And for me, I think in that moment last night, it was both of those.
Mm.
Because I could feel the vibration, but my voice box wouldn't wouldn't produce the sound. But I could feel the vibration of the breath, you know.
Mm. And if you didn't love her, you would not experience it.
Exactly. Because I think that was, that was the recognition. It was really a, a very interesting experience for me. was new. I can
Because
remember
it-
once taking my brother, who'd come to visit, to the airport, and when he comes, he usually comes on the heels of a business trip, and I think it was the second time that he came. And when I got out of the car at the airport, to open the trunk, and we took his trunk out of the car, I felt my legs give underneath me, and I had to hold on to the car. And he noticed it, and he got a bit of a fright. And I said to him, "Nick, don't worry, just go. I'll be fine." But it was that was a constricted experience for me. I felt as though my heart was going to break. And I had Kaylis in the car. She was little, and I didn't want to show her how upset I was. So that was different. There was a lot of constriction around that separation. But last night's was much freer, much more open, much more embracing of the pain and the exquisiteness of attachment, the value of attachment. In a bonding with another person, not attachment in terms of grasping, right?
our brain is only interpreting what the body and heart is talking, and it's often really bad at interpreting it. Oh, your heart
Yes,
beats, so you must be scared. You might as well just be excited.
exactly.
But it'll take the negative view most of the time.
Yeah. Until we learn to observe.
To listen to our own heart, actually.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of some of the other things you could have felt. Abandonment, perceived future loneliness, fright of being alone, not being so close, like all of these ego attributes, feelings,
Mm.
versus a mother bird setting her bird free out the nest to be strong. And for her to always know where you are whenever she needs you, whether she knows where you are with a physical touch, a spiritual touch, a phone call, but that umbilical cord, as long as you're willing to give it and she's willing to receive it and vice versa, it never breaks.
Mm.
And that goes with fatherhood too.
Mm. Mm.
The song keeps popping in my head. Let it be, let it be, let it be, just let it be. Somebody else knows the song, the words to that song, but it just let it be. Whew. Mhm.
It made me think of Will. He would know all the words to it. But the one refrain is speaking words of wisdom. Let it be.
It's like you released her with love. Because if you had
Mm.
dumped all of those other feelings on her, how she would have had to ward it off. Like, don't guilt trip me. I don't have time for that. I got to focus forward. I'm already in motion going forward. I can take you with me in love, or I can reject you right here because I can't carry that negativity with me. Don't I have your love and support? Don't you want to see me grow and be and expand? And oh, you're making me feel bad. And even if you had cried, it is the spirit of the cry that she would have felt.
Absolutely.
But it's like you didn't guilt trip her because that's not your intention. And the maturity of your spirituality strengthens her because she takes that strength with her. She takes the imminent of that strength with her in unspoken words. Because she's going to need that. She's going to need to find her strength when there is no words.
Mm.
She must be so proud of you.
That's a very kind thing to say, Sandra. Thank you. So I want to share a picture of joy with you guys. So Bruce and a friend of his were talking the other day about when they were little boys, and each of them had different experiences of killing a bird. and how they felt after it had happened. They were, both of them, it happened in the same way. They were playing with their little catapults, right? Didn't realize what could happen. So it was a shock for both of them. And then they started talking about making up for it and feeding the birds. So I do it in the summertime with the bird feeder. So Bruce says to me, how can we do it in the winter? And I look at him and I say, well, there are all these pots out on my deck that don't have, well, they've got like the dead branches of whatever was in them. And I said to him, well, try and, just scatter them on there, because it's easy for us with the snow. And so that's what he's done. And what's been happening while we've been talking, there's been like a huge clatter of chitter and noise. And when I look out on them, the same thing happened yesterday morning. So there's a little bit of snow. And they obviously still they still manage to get the seeds. How the hell they do, I don't know. But they are covered in snow because they're pecking. They've got to peck through the snow, and then the snow comes up, and all of them have got like a coat and all over that. So you just see these birds covered in snow, pecking away and still managing to forage for food and fight each other and, claim their little pot to themselves. And it's so amazing to watch in the mornings now. It really brings me such joy. We'd never fed them in the winter before. We always just, kept it in the summer when they actually do have enough food.
Good morning, Pascal.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, Pascal.
Happy New Year, Pascal.
Happy New Year, Pascal.
Good morning, Pascal. And today's topic is feeling in the silence, or feeling the silence. And we've been discussing that. We can say notice, being aware of our automatics and our defaults. Which is, what are we making up? What is the resistance that we have?
Yeah, what's the story we're telling ourselves?
Mm-hmm. Is it constricted or expanding? Is it in fear or love and joy?
Yeah, when you talk about feeling in the silence, I just had a little bit of a meditation. My phone was like upgrading and stuff, and I was just like, okay, I can't go on your call. And I was dying for it, but I was just like, You know what? I'll just meditate for a bit. And it was so profound because, like, I don't know if it's the first time, but like, I wasn't reaching out for like any expectation of that meditation. I wasn't trying to look for something or feel something. Instead, I just let it like come to me. And it was just like such a blissful moment. And it's hard to explain. Like it was just like warm inside. Like, and then I really felt like who I am. It's just so weird. And it wasn't in my head. So when you said like feel in the silence, it really touched me. I was just like, that's what I was doing.
Yeah,
Or not doing.
right. Yeah.
What you were,
Degrees.
yeah, and what you were allowing, Pascal.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Congratulations.
And what surprised me was how effortless it was. Because I wasn't reaching out for anything, a result and stuff. And I was like, oh, I want to open my third eye. I want to do that. I want to do that. But I just let like kind of like my eyes floating in the air and not trying to look for anything.
This has stuck with me. I heard expectations are just premeditated resentments.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much we put expectations in place. How much I've done it until I started to look at it, and I can see that I do that where others put it there.
Mm.
And who's putting the expectation? Is it your higher mind that put the expectation, or it's your character?
Yeah, the identity, the attachment, the ego, the past, the
Yeah.
experienced mind. The one that does not allow anything new.
So yeah, I gotta share this. Like, I don't know how good it was for the new year, but we were the hosts for New Year's Eve, and a good group. Like, we were probably like, I don't know, I think 12 to 15, something like that.
Mhm.
Just a good group of people. And you know, like, just to see, like, I don't know, I felt like I was just the awareness and really looking outside. It was weird, like, just looking at who's hanging out together and how the group moves and who's following who. And you know, like, we hear, because I got some people that you would say they're spiritual, and then so my wife kind of pointed at me. She's like, "You meditate every single morning, 30 minutes." And then, like, just after that, like, how many people like came to me, like, "Wow, this is amazing." And like, I was just like, yeah, I mean, we are meditation. I mean, it's not about like doing that 30 minutes every morning. It's like to sustain this all throughout the day. Anyway, like, we just had a fantastic like New Year, and everybody just gets along, but it was just kind of, you know, you want to talk to everyone, but then after, you know, say few hours or something, like, how people regroup themselves, you know, what's comfortable for them, what's resonate with them. And yeah, it was just so nice, like, to really like looking the whole stage play out. So how was you guys New Year?
So I was invited out
Mm.
to a watch service, and I was like 60-40. I wasn't sure. I wanted to be there, but I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to be traveling in my car late at night by myself and then coming back. Um, and I'm thinking, and I knew it, I was clear that, people are out and you're drinking and this and that and the other. That was a little bit of it, but it wasn't the whole thing. And then, just getting dressed and all of that stuff. So I got semi prepared to go. And then I went to go put on some music to listen to as I was preparing to go out. And I just got so peaceful inside of me to think, well, what are you going there for? And it's that oneness and peace. And I had it. And I was so content to be home. And I had a great time watching a series called Mr. Brain. And I woke up, it was good. It was good. And I woke up the next day and there's this prophet that I've been following lately. And I love the way he breaks down. I've learned so much about the stories of the Bible and the power that's in them in the 4 to 5 months I've been following him than I have had in all of my religious exposure. And so religious exposure is different from religious teachings. I'll just make that clear. And in watching what he had to offer, so of course I didn't see it at 12 o'clock. So I celebrated the crossing over into the new year at 10 o'clock in the morning and watched his whole video of, the services they had, the teachings he offered. And he talked about this is the year of the wind. The year of the wind. And I'm going to listen to it again. But what he was saying is nothing, being the wind, nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you. And he talked about the breath of life. It was just good. It was good for me. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my calls the next day that I received and extended, and just being quiet. I just enjoyed that so much. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, he teach you that all limitation or self-limitation. You create your
my
own.
my biggest observation for you asking, and thank you, is I did not feel alone, not at all.
It sounds like you felt very connected.
Yeah, it seems like it's just like I felt this morning. I was by myself, but I felt like I was with, with so many people. Because I felt the comfort, like the warmth, the bliss.
And I was alone, and asleep by 10.
That's usually me, Jesse. My wife is always like, "Oh, let's stay until midnight." Why?
The fireworks woke me up, but I couldn't tell if it was every hour till midnight or not. But it was after a wonderful day of being with family. So that is why I wasn't alone.
Nice.
I knew I wasn't going to be alone. And that's so much better than being alone in the moment. And it was all because I practiced compassion.
Mm.
And this story I had going to that first was compassion. My purposes aligned, aligned to preserve the family, trusted spouse, deeper connections all around the family. My intentions of compassion, be dad. They're camping for the weekend. They were camping. They're home now. 2 nights, 3 days. I get 1 day with them. The story I make up is, oh, brother-in-laws aren't going to let me on the campsite. She's that mad. That's the story I made up. That's the fear story I had going in. Oh my God, what would I do? How embarrassing would that be? How hurtful. And I said, well, if it happens, I'll give him a big hug and thank him for telling me, because that took a lot of courage. And I'm sorry that he was in that space to have to do it. And still faced it. Still went, still showed up. It wasn't even that. No one even knew.
So all the things you thought it could be, and it was not that.
Not that at all.
Were you disappointed?
Mm.
You didn't get a chance to practice your compassion
Oh, I did, but
to be a bigger
that
man than him.
that wasn't the compassion. Yeah, that wasn't the. Yeah, that would have been a whole nother lesson around compassion.
You didn't
How
have
be
to
in the
be right.
bar. Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah. Try not to. I try to let go of that.
Yeah, I'm just teasing you. It feels like grace.
Yes.
It was a difficult and an amazing day.
Wow. I'm so
All in
happy for
one.
you, Jesse.
All in one. And a crack of hope right at the end. But at the end, because I was engaged, because I was compassionate, because I was there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know what came to mind for me, Jesse, with you telling this now, was how often we so what I was thinking of was the different ways that we have in communicating and displaying, which is the same thing for me, our love and compassion. And it's like it can be a different language for somebody else. You know, I'm thinking again of that thing about love languages, and we don't often realize that. And then when we receive a rejection, we don't understand what that rejection is about, because the other person, we didn't get it, that the other person couldn't see what it was that we were trying to impart.
Yes.
And then there's the other side of that kind of thing too, if I could say that. So what I sensed from your brothers-in-law was that they've always received your compassion. And maybe not all of them, but so in other words, without you realizing that they received it, they did. And it wouldn't only have been yesterday, would have been from before.
Yeah.
And it brought me back to a conversation that I had with you once, like right in the beginning, when you were still in Magmine. And you said something to me about that I had made you aware of compassion. And it was so, it was a kind of a like, what? Because for me, my experience of you was that you have one of the biggest, kindest hearts I'd ever encountered. And so it's just interesting how, I mean, it stands to reason. I guess it's logical that it would happen that way, but we often don't realize it. Also like today when Sindral said to me that Kalis would be proud of me, I was like, why? What's that about? But of course you are. I mean, I felt proud of my mum. She was amazing to me, for me, seeing my mom and seeing her in the world and how she navigated her life. I don't think I could have thought anything other than to be proud of her. And so then what comes back to me from that is how important our words to ourselves are, how important our attitude to ourselves is. And the strength of it, the power of it. And the more we connect into consciousness, the more powerful we allow, the more power we allow for ourselves and for others.
Yeah, that remind me, like when you were talking about the family, and then you're like, oh, how they gonna kind of accept me and stuff, and like during like New Year's Eve, you know, I could have tell myself story, be like, oh, I can't talk about this, or I can't talk about this, like, you know, like it's not gonna be received well, or and then shut my mouth about it. And I was like, no, you know, if someone resonate with it, then it will come to me. And if not, they'll leave. And it's okay. You know, and it's exactly what happened. You know, like if I'm expecting like people to love me, but I don't love myself, how's that work? No, it would never. So I had no expectation that it's gonna that people will come to me and chat about it and open to me and allow what I was saying to resonate. No expectation whatsoever. And I'm sure some people are still talking about it. So yeah, it's always a story that we tell ourselves, you know. Oh, it's gonna be hard to meet with my brother. Yeah, we had a past, and it's just so hard. And then you meet him, and it's like it wasn't hard at all. What did I make? Why did I make this up? Oh, it was really hard because I was believing it that like it was going to be hard. Whatever that is.
Did you make it hard by thinking it was going to be?
Yeah. Why exactly, right? Like
What I'm feeling
I,
is,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
We make up stories so to build up a defense. So if anybody's gonna hurt me, I already got my wall up and I'm not surprised. I'm prepared to be offended, to not be accepted, which like kind of takes me back to the good old school days with bullies. Um, you know, kids telling each other, oh, you're stupid. Oh, your clothes are ugly, this, that, and the other. And so then the child's mind says it before somebody else can say it about them. So they're not disappointed to not be accepted. So if we paint, and we even kind of taught this, what's the worst case scenario? And we put a lot of energy into the worst case scenario. And it builds walls instead of more of the best case scenario
Yes.
that builds bridges.
You could say, if I could only choose, if I only could focus energy on those 100% of my time, how much would I be focusing on the worst case scenario versus the best case? 80-20.
Yeah, yes, and um,
Exactly.
someone can tell you like how stupid you are all day long. But if you don't attach anything from your past to it, a story, then it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
You know, we say stupid shit all the time.
Thanks for that
But when
giggle,
you,
Pascal.
yeah, when you know like who you are, it doesn't matter. People can call you stupid all day long. Yes, Pancho. Jesse, I think you were going to say something.
No, just I was looking like at our relationships, right? As you said, we take it, we'll attach to it, right? It's like, oh, they're doing it to us. And it's like, oh, what is the intention? What are they thinking? What do they think my intention is? What story are they making up? And that's where the space is. Space is, this is my story. And just hang it out there to say, align to it or resist it. And my children, you will always be my daughter, my son. Unconditionally, I will love you. Even if you're angry and choose to hate me. I'm sorry if that is your choice. I'm sorry for you. Because it could be so much more. And it goes with our partners. It goes with all relationships. Yet so often it's, what are they doing to me? What are they doing? See, it's out there. What are they doing to me? And it comes into that pain, right? Is it painful? Oh, so we got to defend, we got to fight, we got to be angry, frustrated. Really? Like, what are we angry about? Are they really doing those things we're making up, or are we just missing something? Do we not know the whole story? there's the bridge. Well, good. Well, let's connect it. What is the bridge? What is the space? What is the opportunity? How could it be? Or it'll just be how it is. It goes back to that 80-20. Worst case scenario, best case. Which one are we looking at? Which one, when we're angry, which one are we gripped in? When we are angry, what story are we gripped in? We're in the worst case scenario. When we're in fear, what are we in? Worst case scenario. When we're scared, what are we in? When we're sad, what are we in? Depressed.
Yeah, like this morning I had a little bit of a episode with Kai. So he started crying and my alarm didn't go off. So I'm like, okay, it's not 6:15 yet. And then I look at the clock, it's like 5:45. And he's like, oh, I want to just sleep more, right? Like I want to sleep another half hour. And then he keep crying and crying and crying. And my wife is like, yeah, let him cry. I think he's gonna be fine, right? And after probably like 5 minutes or so, like, no, he's not fine. So, when I'm looking at myself and looking at him, and I'm like, okay, well, the obvious, right? He's hungry and his diaper needs to be changed. So I do that, and then I put him in our bed, which is warm and, between the two of us. And he keep crying and crying and crying. And then I try to give him like a little bit more milk, and then like he doesn't want any. And like his diaper is dry, And you're like, what else do you need, right? And it's as soon as that like I flip my view, so I put myself as Kai and looking at me, then I'm like, oh, he wants some hug. He wants to be like held. That's what I do, right? I grab him and I go in the bonus room. And then right away, he stopped crying. And then we spend maybe like 5-10 minutes. And now he's ready to go back to bed. He's even like, he drank a little bit more. And then sleeping beside mommy. So it's just like from one perspective for me, I'm like, oh, I just want to sleep, right? Like I don't, baby doesn't need anything. He's okay. He's gonna sleep until like 7:30, like he usually do. And then you're like, well, I can't sleep because baby's crying, so let's get up and feed him and like, but maybe just want a hug, you know? So it's when like you said, Jesse, like maybe like you look in the perspective of your kids looking at you, then now you know what you want.
Great.
And it's really the difference between reacting and responding. And like when I start looking through his eyes and hold them tight, and Daddy didn't need to sleep more. He was totally fine. As a matter of fact, he didn't want to go back to bed. So I feel so grateful that I have like a little baby that I can learn from, that he teaches me every day.
I still feel like that about my daughter, Pascal.
What's that?
I still feel like that about my daughter.
Mm,
She remains my teacher.
yeah. Yeah, let them
Great morning.
express themselves as much as they want, right?
Mhm. Honor the expression. Thank them for it. For the courage to do it, to be it,
Yeah.
and to ask for them to ask themselves, what do they want from it? Make sure they're getting what they want with it. Well, I've got my two action moves for today. And that's all I need. Because they're big ones, and yet they're really little.
Yes, and
Yes,
thank you, everybody.
Day by day and one step at a time.
That's from
Yep.
one little, one small, big step. Yep. Compounds. Thank you all.
Thank you too.
Yeah, it's not
Thanks,
a race, it's a marathon.
That's right. All right, guys.
Okay, love and hugs,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I love you all.
Happy New Year.
Have a great day. Happy New Year.
Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.